viewers. Good morning if you're watching me in the morning, good afternoon if you're watching me in the afternoon, and good evening if you're watching me in the evening. Today, you are going to be with me, Teacher Ian, a grade 6 teacher at Fountain School, who's going to take you through in integrated science under the topic called the environment. Now, from the environment, this is where we can try maybe to define what an environment is. And the commonly known definition for environment, we can say the environment is everything that surrounds us. Now, it is important before we look at what is involved in the environment to maybe revise something that we looked at the other time. So the other time, integrated science, we looked at challenges that are faced amongst the people with HIV or living with HIV and AIDS. This is where we say these people are challenged with things to do with discrimination. These people are being discriminated, Sometimes even it affects their performance if they are still schooling and the like. So make sure you pay attention to the lesson that we discussed the other time. So today now, under the environment, we are going to look at the water cycle. Now, in today's lesson, since we are saying we'll look at the water cycle, it is important to maybe, before we define water cycle, to identify, the sources of water. Where do we get the same water that we use for washing, drinking, and other uses? Number one, we get the water that we use in our daily lives from dams, okay? We get the same water that we use in our daily occasions from where? Dams. Sometimes we get the same water from rivers, okay? The same water sometimes comes from oceans, okay? Sometimes we also, get water from lakes and other sources. So there are a good number of sources where we get this same water. Now, before we also focus much as we are talking about water cycle, it is important again to look at now the importance of this same water. So we'll say now, importance of water. You and I understand to say in our bodies, every human being has water, okay? Such that the same water helps us in blood formation. Water helps in blood formation. What do we mean when we say water helps in blood formation? For you to have enough water in your body, enough blood in your body, the body, you must have water. Such that when you have enough water in your body, then the body will be helped so that it will have the blood being what? Formed. Then sometimes we can also say water helps in the digestion of food. Okay, we are saying this same water that we get from dams, rivers, oceans, and lakes, it helps us in the digestion of what? Food. When you eat food, that's why those people who look at the health conditions of human beings, they encourage to say you need to take water maybe 30 minutes before you eat. Why do they talk about that? It is for them and maybe to educate you to say water, when you take water 30 minutes before you eat or 30 minutes after eating, it will help you to digest the food that you've done what? You've eaten. Then the other importance we can say in the cooling of the body temperature, water in the cooling of the body temperature. So this is where we are saying now, water helps in the cooling of the body temperature when it is hot. Yes, you and I, you may agree to say when it is hot, everyone will require some, water to drink. Why? Because the temperature is high. When the temperature is high in the body, you feel hot. So how are you going to maintain the temperature? Okay, you will require to have what? Water. Then sometimes we can say also it prevents the body from getting dry. Okay, we are saying the same water also prevents the body from getting dry. So we are saying the importance of water. Number one, water helps in blood what? Formation. Then water helps in the digestion of food. At the same time, water helps in the cooling of the body temperature when it is hot. Then the other one, the least but is that it prevents the body from getting dry. So for you to have the body which is nice and looking so fresh, you need to have enough water in your body. So now, having talked about the sources of water and also the importance of water, it is now important that we define what water cycle is. Then we can say water cycle is the movement of water from the land to the sky and back to the land. It may be in form of rainfall and snow in some other places. Why are we, or what are we trying to talk about here? We are saying, for us to have water, there must be a cycle. And when we say a cycle, we mean something that is moving. It doesn't have the ending and the beginning. So that's why we are using the term movement. We are saying, water cycle is the movement of water from the land, up to the sky and back to the land in form of rainfall or snow in some other places. So now, how is this same now water cycle formed? How is it formed? This is where now we are saying water formation. How is it formed? This is where we are saying for the formation of water. Number one, the water cycle. The first thing that will be there is that the sun. The sun will heat up these surfaces. Just like I said, we get water from the dams, rivers, oceans, and lakes. The sun will be there now to heat up the water which is in these sources. From there now, how is this same water going to rise or going up the sky? It will go in the process of evaporation. Evaporation. So, when the water is rising up, how is it going to rise up? Through the process of evaporation, meaning that the sun will help this same water to rise up the sky. And in the sky there, it will cool. It will cool and condense. It will cool and condense. Hence, forming what is known as the water droplets. Forming what we call water droplets. These water droplets will be now heavy, forming the clouds. Form the clouds, and once these clouds are formed, then if it is in rain season, you even hear the thunder and also what happens when it is about to rain. So the clouds are formed when these water droplets become so heavy after they are cooled and condensed. So from there, when clouds are formed, then you are going to experience rainfall and you feel nice. So why are we saying, or what are we trying to talk about? We are trying to talk about how water or the water cycle is formed, the formation of water. we are saying the first thing, the sun will be there to heat up, the water which is in these sources and the surfaces. Now, how is the water going to rise up? It will rise up, through the process of evaporation. And in some other books, they say evaporation is the change of water which is in the liquid state. Okay? Evaporation is the change of liquid water, which should go into its what? Gaseous state. Meaning, water is coming from liquid which is going to gas. In other words, as the water is rising up, it will go in form of water vapor, where there's air in the same water which is going up. This is where now we say if the process of evaporation has taken place, that same water which has gone in the sky in form of water vapor, it will then cool and condense. When it is cooled and condensed, it will now form the water droplets. These water droplets will become heavy, forming the clouds. And from the clouds there, what are you going to experience now? It is rainfall which is coming from above there. So now, I have a chart. So that we try to look at what is written on the chart for you to understand. So, I'm asking you to get the pens and maybe books. You take note of something from the chart there. Alright, so we are saying the sources of water. We have rivers, we have dams, we have wells, lakes, oceans, and the swamps. We get water from these sources. Okay? There are also other sources where you can get the water that you use, to do other things. Now, the importance of water. This is where we say water helps in blood formation. It also helps in proper digestion of what? The food. Then, at the same time, helps in the cooling of the body when it is hot. Water helps us human beings, to cool the body when it is done what? When it is hot. Then at the same time, water prevents the body from getting dry. Then we said, water cycle is the movement of water from the land to the sky and back to the land. So we said, now to explain how water cycle is done, we said when the sun heats up the water surfaces, it rises up the sky where it cools and condenses, whereby now forming liquid droplets. These liquid droplets, we said, are the ones now become so heavy. They become heavy, hence forming what are known as clouds. And when the clouds are formed, you are going to experience rainfall. So this is where we end. Now before we go, we need to write something. What I mean is the exercise. So I want you to get your book now and your pen so that you write the questions that I'm going to write on the board and try to answer them. Alright, so under the water cycle, I've prepared these questions, and number 1 says, mention any 2 sources of water. Then number 2, state any 2 importance of water. Define water cycle. And number 4, it is a statement, and it reads, when water on the earth's surface is heated by the sun, it turns into water vapor. Full stop. It then rises to the sky where it cools and dash. I want you to put something there so that this statement is complete. And also it forms dash droplets. So make sure as you answer these questions, you take, heart. You make sure whatever answers you're going to provide on these spaces are correct. So this is Teacher Ian again, who has been with you in integrated science under the topic the environment, where we're looking at the water cycle. Until next time, bye-bye.